I'm very, very pleased to be here. As a brand new Kentuckian, I can say you certainly know how to make a fuss over a person. I'm leaving the Commonwealth of Virginia after a long time living there. And in particular, I've been doing my present job for several years. And when I moved to the job, I inherited a secretary, a wonderful secretary who had trained, she trained me and she trained several of my predecessors in that job. You all know the kind of person that I'm talking about. And when I decided to leave and come to the University of Kentucky, I thought I detected just a little bit of sadness on her part. So I said to her, I said, Mary, don't be upset. They're going to hire someone who will do this job much, much better than I ever did it. And she said, yeah, that's what they said when they hired you. That's maybe what I remember most about leaving Virginia. I have been traveling an awful lot in Kentucky, and there are a lot of things that stand out in my memory of traveling in Kentucky, too. One that I'll tell you about was we were driving along the highway and we came past a sign, and it said on the sign, Joe Jones, veterinarian / taxidermist. And then under that it said, either way you get your dog back. I want to thank you for inviting me to take part in the dedication of this Kentucky Leadership Center. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to meet this group of people who are representative of the interest in 4-H in Kentucky. And I'm always glad to do an event associated with 4-H, the youth program of our University of Kentucky's Cooperative Extension Service. Kentucky has 224,000 young people enrolled in 4-H programs. That makes it the largest in the South and the second largest in the whole nation. I believe everyone associated with this project should be proud of their accomplishments, and I certainly congratulate you for successfully undertaking to build a leadership center that is truly representative of a fine educational program. Considerable source of pleasure for me to come to Kentucky and be associated with such a quality, forward-looking effort. I especially want to congratulate the Friends of Kentucky 4-H, made up of business and civic leaders from throughout the state, for their leadership in initiating and completing this Kentucky Leadership Center. Their unselfish expenditure of time, money, and effort will reap benefits to Kentucky and our nation for many years to come. It's easy to see how their efforts benefit people when you see results such as those reported in a recent study of the university's sociology department. That study, the results of that study indicate that farmers with 4-H backgrounds have more education, higher gross sales from their farms, and higher net income. This is a clear indication that an educational concept, namely 4-H, that is more than 75 years old, continues to be a viable force in our society, and especially within the Commonwealth of Kentucky. This Leadership Center will help the university and all of you, we hope, we do invite you to use the center, to continue the educational heritage and to make the best better for our youth. It also will provide an ideal setting for training volunteer leaders, homemakers, agricultural groups, community leaders, professional staff members, and a host of other groups and associations. For the College of Agriculture, the center will be used for all educational programs in agriculture, home economics, 4-H, and community development. This facility will help the university to continue to develop and implement innovative ways of reaching farmers with information that will help them realize more income from their land by using the research information developed in the agricultural experiment stations. Various civic, church, and other groups in this area and throughout the state should find this to be a fine facility for retreats, meetings, and other activities. We genuinely want it to be a community center. Let me once again congratulate everyone associated with this project. It's the realization of a dream, not a dream of selfish glory, but a dream of altruism that will continue to help people develop into the kinds of citizens needed to keep our state and our nation strong. I personally am very proud to be part of this program, and I look forward to continuing at the University of Kentucky to build the educational systems associated with youth programs. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Rozelle, and we realize this is one of your first talks in the state of Kentucky, and we're glad that you came out on this occasion to be with us. And we hope and we know that during your tenure here as president, which becomes effective next week, in the years to come, that you will have many occasions to meet with these folks and others of us, and we hope that you'll have occasion to come back and be down here at the Leadership Center again. We wish you well in your new job, and we pledge our efforts and everything we can do to make you successful as you take over the presidency. We said at the very beginning when we were talking, Dean Barnhart, we can't do it unless you're committed to stay with us and you believe in what we're trying to do. He believed, he stayed with us, and it's my pleasure to present to you the Dean of the College of Agriculture, Charles E. Barnhart.
Said I didn't dare touch this thing, but it wouldn't work, but I've got it lowered a little bit. President Rozelle, distinguished and important people here at the head table, and the most important people of all, those of you out in front that caused this to be a reality. Lynn Schrader indicated that I was sort of a reluctant partner in this thing, and they had to make a few trips to see me to get my support. That's one way of getting people to do things. Conrad Feltner and I decided on the 12th of December, 1968, that we would build this building in this particular spot. And so we've had to maneuver around quite a lot to cause this committee to support us in this, and I even had to act like I didn't even care where it was going to be built down here. But it certainly has been a great almost 20 years that we've been involved in developing this facility here. On the 12th of December 1968, a few of us, and there are a few people here in the room that were also here, climbed across a barbed wire fence out here on the road in this high spot just as you come in, and we did a little dirt moving and the like, and that constituted the groundbreaking for the Cumberland 4-H camp. And of course this has been our great 4-H camp. We've enjoyed so much the opportunity of working with all of the people in this part of the state and others from throughout the state that are interested in our camping program. And everyone has been hugely successful, and you do it with enthusiasm and with great professional expertise, and we could not have our great Cooperative Extension service in Kentucky and the greatest 4-H program in the world if it were not for all of you sitting out here today, our most effective and highly admired 4-H leaders. This camp, if this facility were to be dedicated to one group, I would dedicate it to the 4-H, the volunteer 4-H leaders of this state. You have done so much for our young people. You've done so much for the citizens of the Commonwealth. And I know we can plan on your continuing to do these great things. There are two or three other people that I want to recognize specifically for having brought this building and this program into reality. Certainly we could not have had this building at the stage of completion as it is today if it were not for the great congressman from the 5th District, Hal Rogers. Ron Sheets is another person that I certainly cannot praise more. Ron is not a graduate of our College of Agriculture, but we have no person in this state that has been a more effective, loyal, and dedicated. And Coleman, I want to especially thank you and recognize you for the wonderful job you have done with our 4-H program since you have been assistant director for 4-H, and for all of your innovative and imaginative ideas and things that you have done to improve our 4-H program, and the hours and hours of persistence that you have given the development of this building. I also want to thank John Walker, Associate Dean, and the College of Agriculture for development, and my right-hand man for the many, many hours he and his staff have spent in supervising the construction of the building and working on details and working on the plans. John has been involved in working on the plans of how we will schedule the building, what the cost charges will be, and all of these things. We could not have had this building occur if it had not been for the help of our own people like John Walker and Coleman White, and certainly these tremendous public servants like Ron and Lynn and Charlie and Stan and the others, several hundred that have been involved in this thing. So I hope you all are as happy with the building and with the accomplishments here as I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Thanks again for all the... Mr. Gary Miller, President of the State Extension Advisory Council. And I'm going to join them over here and we'll unveil the plaque.
Don't drop it.
In case you did not hear me, I said we congratulate each of these representatives, recognize. A few of them could not be here today, but we have many of the representatives of the Board of Directors, a friend of Kentucky 4-H here. And as I called your name, would you stand, please? And after all have been standing, we will recognize them with applause. Betty Clark from Glasgow. Betty, you still around? Okay. Remain standing, please. Secretary, Mrs. Conrad Feltner, and I understand Conrad Jr. is here somewhere. Connie, wherever you are. Oh, here he is, way over here. That's the son of Mr. and Ms. Feltner, and your daughter Helen could not be here today. Is in Europe. Okay, but we're glad that you're here today. You and Connie both. 32 years ago, when I first started to work for Kentucky Utilities Company, one of my first assignments was to go down to the Dawson Springs 4-H camp. I'm going to shake hands with you, and I'm going to turn this facility over to you and your staff to use it. And you can tell us anything you want to about how it's going to be dedicated to leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, Coleman White. How about Dean of the College of Agriculture, Dean Charles E. Barnhart. Dr. David Roselle, President-elect of the University of Kentucky. Seated right next to me here is a fellow that so many of you know so well, Coleman White, Assistant Director of Extension for 4-H. And Paul Everman, Executive Vice President of the Kentucky Farm Bureau, who gave our invocation. Seated next to him is a fellow that has worked so hard on this center. First of all, he was working with the Economic Development Administration, and then later he retired from that job, and we put him to work with Friends of Kentucky 4-H, and he's now our treasurer, Charlie Mason. And next to him is Shirley Phillips, Associate Director for Cooperative Extension. Shirley? You know, when I was thinking about my remarks, I had to say that this is a dream fulfilled, because I, along with so many of you, many of those seated at this head table, and our dear and beloved friend who is no longer with us, Conrad Feltner, dreamed of this facility for so long. Indeed, today is a dream fulfilled. You know, we've been dreaming about this facility for a long, long time. This Lake Cumberland 4-H camp was established in 1969. At that time, Clint Collins and a number of the other folks that were involved in getting this started had the dream that someday we would not only have an outstanding 4-H camp here, but we would have a leadership center that would serve the entire state of Kentucky, serve all the counties. And we wanted a facility of quality such as we have here. In 1974, the Friends of Kentucky 4-H was formed to assist in helping 4-H with a strong emphasis on financial assistance. Even back then, in 74, we were talking about how we would get this done. And I remember sitting on the bed with Conrad Feltner and many others through the years and talking about, that's a big undertaking, but some way we're going to do it. In 1976, or perhaps 1977, we started actively planning for this facility. And in 1979, the Friends Board was expanded to reach out statewide so that we would have representation from all of the areas of the state and make it truly a statewide program. Back then, we were talking about fundraising and potential donors and who might chair the building committee and how we'd go about raising the money. And we met a lot of obstacles. And you know, any time that you build a project like this, you run into obstacles, and it takes a long time to overcome them. But we got real serious in 1980. I recall that meeting when the board met, the Board of Friends of Kentucky 4-H met with Dean Barnhart, and we said, we've been talking about this for so long that we have now reached the hour of decision. It's time to go or don't go. We're either going to develop plans and build this facility, or we're going to fold it up and give it up. Well, with strong encouragement from Dean Barnhart, and not only encouragement, but a positive commitment to support of the dean and all of his staff, we elected to say we're going to build the Leadership Center. Since then, we've been drawing plans, and we've scrapped a number of the plans, and we redrew them. We have been seeking funds, and you folks have been working so hard also on raising funds. We've been talking about developing operating strategies, and we've been getting bids, and ultimately we broke ground, and then we started building. And now you see today the completion of Phase 1 and Phase 2 of this facility. It's been a long dream, but it's been worth it. As far as I'm concerned, this facility is second to none. Now, you might ask, how did we fund it? And I think that's an interesting story. You know, we didn't have a lot to start with. And at the very beginning, it was necessary that we find some funds and get a sewer established. And we went to the Brown Foundation, and they came through with $50,000 for us. And And we used that $50,000 to develop a sewer system. Then we realized that we had a sewer and we needed to build the building to go with it. And we knew that if we could ever get started with one major contribution, that we could make it happen. Well, we were on our way then. We went back to the Brown Foundation and said, now we need a little more help. And they came through with another $75,000 for us. And from there, we went out to corporations and we went to other places looking for money. Eventually, through corporations and other sources, we were able to come up with $1 million. Not too long ago, Dr. Otis Singletary, our retiring president from the university, told me one day, he said, we have a good man coming to Kentucky. I think you're going to like him. And then after that, he told the press not too long ago that he was leaving the University of Kentucky in good hands to carry on with the programs that have been so important to the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I do like President Rozelle. I appreciate his knowledge that he has already acquired of our state, of all the colleges that are involved in the university. I appreciate very much his understanding of the College of Agriculture and its programs. As we came down here today, we were talking about the different land types in Kentucky, and we flew over them, and he already is aware and even able to converse about the different types of agriculture and land that we have in our great state. He has already traveled a lot in our state, and I know that he's going to travel a great deal more. He, I'm sure you appreciate the fact, has an extremely busy schedule.
You can imagine that I was sitting here listening to what Dr. Rozelle had to say, and what the dean had to say, and what Lynn Schrader had to say. I could say amen to all of that, and that would make you happy, I'm sure, if that would be the end of it. However, there's a couple of points that I would like to share with you, and a couple of people that, by couple in my definition, there's more than one. So there's a couple of things that I would like to do at this time in honor of these persons. It's a real pleasure for me to say to you, I hope that you saw some plaques on the walls as you came in the front entrance. Now this plaque that was just unveiled is going to be erected on the right of the front doors as you enter the facility. And as you come through those doors, you entered into, I think, a beautiful lounge. There's been some tribute paid to the individual that this lounge is named for, but I would like at this time to ask Ron Sheets, for whom this lounge is named for, to stand and remain standing until I recognize three other persons. If you would, Ron, thank you. I think it's just a magnificent place for the board to meet, and of course it's for your use, and I'm sure that many of you will probably use it more than the board of directors will. And Lynn, I think it would be appropriate for you representing the board of directors to stand. Reference has been made to Conrad Feltner. Sarah, a very good friend of mine, and members of her family are here. We're very pleased that they're here, and I would ask that they stand at this time. The Linwood Schrader Conference Center, Lynn is doing double duty on representing Friends and also the Conference Center. We feel that the person that has done just an extraordinary, outstanding job in helping to coordinate all of the fun that many people have had in putting this complex together, that it would be very appropriate for the Conference Center, room A, B, C, and D, to be named in honor of Linwood Schrader. I feel the Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service, working with people like represented here. Those of you that have been involved in support of Cooperative Extension down through the years know what I mean when I say that you've been working on needs identification and developing educational programs that is designed to meet those needs, make a tremendous impact on the leadership of this state. We feel that one of the greatest needs of our state is leadership. We know that that is true. To improve leadership skills and provide educational opportunities that will enhance the growth and development of the individual is one of the basic objectives of Cooperative Extension Service, and especially the 4-H program. The improvement of life skills is the focal point of many educational program opportunities designed for our clientele participation. That's what Cooperative Extension Service is all about, of our present and future clientele. You helped to build this center. This center would not have been built if it had not been for people that I am looking at right now, and for thousands of other people that you represent back in your respective counties. Now the center is built, phase 1 and 2. The challenge now is to make use of the center. We want you to use the center. You heard Dr. Roselle in his remarks outline many, many opportunities that we sincerely hope that you take advantage of by using this facility and in trying to accomplish what you want to accomplish as far as many of those things that he outlined in his presentation to you. There's many, many things that I would like to say to you. You've been here a long time. Many of you have traveled hundreds of miles, Dr. Roselle. I think you know how far it is to Paducah and on further west. We appreciate so very much your interest in from the state 4-H staff to you. We appreciate everything that you not only have done for this center, but what you have and continue to do in support of the 4-H program of the Cooperative Extension Service. One announcement that I would like to make with regard to tours. Some people have requested that tours, otherwise